Hi there, Zam here for NerdTube. These are my thoughts and spoilers of Ted Lasso Season 3, Episode 11, Mom City. So, this was definitely a very maternal episode of Ted Lasso. It's all about the parents, obviously the mums. But it wasn't just about Ted Lasso's mum who paid Ted a visit in this episode. It was also about Jamie Tart as well and the need he has of his mum and just being a kid again for a brief moment and having that maternal moment he needs, going back to being a child again with his mum, being that nurturing person. It was great stuff. Now, I've been giving a lot of the Ted Lasso episodes tens. I won't be giving this episode a 10, so spoilers for that alone. But don't get me wrong, it still gets a high mark. But I just think some of the stuff that they try to create in this episode, some of the weirdness that was trying to be understood as the course of the episode went along, wasn't really well executed. Jamie Tart's going through anxiety, and we're trying to understand why, but it really is to do with him having to play against Manchester City away from home at the Etihad. His dad being a Manchester City fan, and his dad giving grief, as well as returning back to his old club where a lot of the old Manchester City fans would also be shitting on him too. So all of this is having a massive effect on Jamie, but you would have thought it was a lot worse what's happening to him because he's crying, he's breaking down, he's miserable, he's got a lot of self pity, all of that. Who is this guy? Where would the real Jamie Tart please stand up, because this guy doesn't feel like this person whatsoever. And as the investigation goes on, regarding what's happening to him and the investigation is being done by Keeley and Roy. Um, we find them following Jamie around Manchester, going back all the way to his mum's house, and so they get to meet Jamie's mum, Jamie's stepfather, I guess, as well, the person who's like filling in for his mum now that because she doesn't like Jamie's real dad. She thinks he's a fucking wanker, and she's moved on from him, and rightfully so. And we get to see some funny moments of Jamie's old bedroom when he was a kid, and a poster on the wall of Roy Kent for Chelsea with a massive hair and stuff like that. As well as Keeley as well with a couple of footballs over her chest. Funny stuff. I really thought there was some cool moments there, and just seeing Jamie, hugging his mom and just getting some maternal advice from his mum was a nice moment. Something he really, truly needed, and it worked. It played a part because when we do finally get to the match between Manchester City and Richmond, Jamie, basically helps conduct a goal to be scored. He starts off the proceedings with some of his nice bit of footwork and play, and Richmond lead very early in the game, and they're pretty much against the ropes for the whole match with Manchester City, shooting shots at them, but Van Dam in tremendous form, not letting anything pass him. He's like truly is like Gandalf from Fellowship of the Rings. But Jamie has an injury at one point during the game, and Coach Lasso decides not to sub him. And this is the funny thing, because it's 80th minute, Richmond are leading. They could just park the fucking bus, take Jamie off. But Coach Lasso decides not to. So Richmond are playing with 10 men whilst Jamie's getting some treatment. But eventually Jamie comes back on the pitch, scores a wonder goal, and Richmond end up winning 2-0. And we also get a nice little cameo from Pep Guardiola as well. There's some good moments, really good moments, and just kind of shows you how lucky of a coach Ted Lasso is, because Van Dam kept the team in the game without that man of the match. But Ted Lasso was stringing things along a bit too much. But luckily, he got bailed out by a fantastic goalkeeper performance, and now Richmond could win the title next season. They really could. How bizarre is that? Anyways, Nate Shelley is working for the Taste of Athens, the Greek restaurant he loves so much, working alongside his girlfriend. And people do recognize who he is. Even some old Richmond players, they know who he is too, and they want him to come back to Richmond, but he doesn't want to. He's happy working at the restaurant, but his girlfriend's not happy with him working at the restaurant. She thinks that he's wasting his time there. The guy's a football coach. You're not a fucking waiter. And eventually she gets her manager to sack him. He sacks him reluctantly, of course. And Nate kind of realizes that his girlfriend did that deed, but he's okay with it because he also knows that she's doing it because she believes it's the right thing to do regarding his career to be a football manager. So, with all that being said, he's out of the job, but there's one person who doesn't want him to come back to Richmond, even though all the other coaching staff are cool with him coming back to Richmond, and that's Coach Beard. But then Coach Beard gets a moment of realization. He goes to visit Nate and tells him about his past, about how he fucked up a lot in his life. You know, he did drugs and everything, and Ted Lasso let him sleep on his on his couch when he had nowhere else to go, and then he he returns the favor to Ted by stealing Ted's car. Obviously, he was in a bad place, but Ted still forgave him, and he says if it wasn't for Ted, then God knows where he would be in his life. But Ted got him back on the straight and narrow, and now he's a football coach for a Premier League team, and he owes Ted everything. And because of those moments of realizations and knowing how he could have been somewhere else in his life if it wasn't for Ted, Coach Beard forgives Nate and wants him back at the club. So even though there's only one more game left to play, we should see Nate Shelley back amongst the coaching staff at Richmond FC next week. Finally, Ted Lasso himself. Now this was a bizarre story because his mum's in town. And his mum seems like a very nice person. Yeah, she chats a little bit of shit here and there. But she seems harmless nevertheless. But Ted doesn't feel very happy with her presence. Now he is disguising it, and Ted's also a very nice guy, so he's not making it too much of an issue. But you can tell that there's something bothering him or pissing him off with his mum being around, even though everybody loves his mum. Everybody, the whole fucking football team loves his mum. All the patrons in the pub loves his mum. You know, she gets along with everybody. Coach Beard, the lot. She seems to be a very easy person to get along with, but not for Ted. And finally, Ted has a moment to chat to his mum, mono a mono, and in a way, kind of said that, look, I'm really grateful that you for some of the things you did and the way you took care of me while even when Dad died. But fuck you for this particular moment. Fuck you for that particular moment. Fuck you for not getting any help when you needed it. You know, all of these sort of things. It was just weird to see Ted say those sort of things to his mum, like fuck you to his mum. He's saying that to her, and it almost feels out of place for someone like Ted Lasso, regardless of his issues with his mum. I mean, I had to, hear him say it a second time, fuck you to his mum, because I thought, oh, come again, Ted Lasso telling his mum to fuck you? What the hell? It makes no sense. But, I guess regarding how this story panned out, they were trying to make it make sense, which is one of the reasons why I'm not going to be giving this a fantastic mark, even though I still enjoyed this episode and I'm very excited for next week. So this was the setup for next week's finale. I look forward to that. I really hope AFC wins the league. This fairy tale has been going, and I don't want this show to end if they do win the league next week. I could do just more. I could just do with more of this. This is my favourite show on streaming sites at this moment in time. I'm going to give Ted Lasso Season 3, Episode 11, Mom Said an 8 out of 10. And that's still a dog's bollocks rating. Let me know what you think of this episode. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe to NerdTube, the greatest YouTube channel you never heard of. And we're on TikTok as well as YouTube. Take care. Bye-bye.